Okay, in here? I think we're going here. This way? Mm-hmm. I thought... is it in here? Maybe. I thought... Oh. Okay. Is that really... Okay, this is for... Just to make sure. Yes. I'm looking for the... Okay, so that is you. Oh, and now you're there. The shriveled insect like old one. No, we're not. That's not what we're describing. Yes, this shriveled insect like old woman greets you with a keen look. Welcome back to the Temple of Law and Order, your ladyship. Dun 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 dun. You know, everybody heard the Law and Order soundtrack or theme song in their head. I have already been informed that you are here about Thessera. The prefect nods to herself and snaps her brittle fingers, prompting a servo skull to flick closer. The creaking of its quills fill the air. Begin entry 51/4 Alpha. In the matter of Thessera and its obligation to pay the imperial tithe, this audience with the prefect of the Adeptus Administratum is now in session. Now then, what were your findings? My seneschal will give you the account of it. Reporting to anyone in person would be beneath my station. I'm afraid I cannot accept another person's report. Her shriveled fingers nimbly extract a piece of parchment from the stack. According to Koronus Expanse Statute 19/A-11, any decision pertaining to the matter of a tithe shall solely be answered for by the person that directly made said decision. A report made by any other person shall be deemed legally null and void. As you can see, there is a sacred stipulation that you submit your report in person and that I accept it from no one else. Thessera's problems have been dealt with. If you need particulars, go and see for yourself. The tithe deliveries from Thessera will be restored and their former capacity. A heretic at seed power on Thessera. I had him executed. I see. The old woman looks at you intently over her ocular lens. This is regrettable news. Even if your action was forced by circumstances, the loss of a governor means the loss of the very stability that any servant of the Administratum is immutably obligated to uphold and protect. Well, let's get to the record then. Rogue trader Tessa von Valencius affected the execution of the governor of Thessera appointed by the Adeptus Administratum. Preliminary damage assessment and restoration forecast of the world's key structures, Class A, severe, noted, and recorded. The problems have been dealt with. The tithe deliveries will be restored to their former capacity. That's all you need to know. The prefect grimaces. I can quite confidently deem that outcome to be the adverse of the interest of the Imperium. Alas, your ladyship, I am duty-bound to deliver an exact and impartial assessment of the events. Rogue trader von Valencius, upon learning about the existence and deposits of a natural Wait, what did I pick? Yeah. The destroyed said material in its entirety. How does that equal that? The tithe deliveries from Thessera will be restored to their former capacity. How does she know I did that? Noted and recorded. I will be frank with you, your ladyship. The conclusions that were drawn regarding Thessera inspection were far from satisfactory. Minor disturbances such as mass execution of mutants or the rabble's plot disguised as celebration are not nearly as dangerous as the, if you will permit my choice of words, coup that resulted from your intervention. I understand that the consequences are something that those endowed with the power are wont to leave to their servants to deal with, and therefore something they find acceptable to ignore. However, I hope my words may help you to revise your approach to executing the Imperium's will in the Koronus Expanse in the future. Solomorn's voice is firm, almost to the point of rudeness. I request that the following note be added to the record. Rogue Trader's actions are not to be scrutinized. They were carried out in my presence, thus had the approval of the Adeptus Arbites. Solomorn thrust his chest out imposingly, as if trying to deflect an enemy blow directed at you. Glancing at Solomorn with indifference, the prefect says in a creaky voice, the proctor statement has been added to the record. Had you... Oh, okay, so that is... One way or another, we can consider the merit. How did you obtain such detailed information about the events? The duty dictates that the Adeptus Administratum officials always be adequately informed. Otherwise, our services to the Imperium's order would be rather questionable. Unfortunately, it is for the same reason that I cannot disclose my sources to you. If you think the Thesserian minerals are so important to the Imperium, make it part of the tithe. What's the problem? I took care of a problematic world, and you're twisting my efforts. I, his lowly and unworthy servant, have no right to twist any facts. My duty is to assess consequences and do everything I can to make sure the Imperium receives what it is owed. That is the purpose of my existence. Speaking from my wealth of experience, if I do say so myself, taking care of the Imperium's prosperity is a heavy burden, albeit an honorable one. The fact that even a rogue trader can run into difficulties while doing it only further confirms my many years of observation. One way or another, we can conclude the matter of Thessera. Closed and recorded, yes. However, that was just the first item on the agenda. Now the next matter. Begin entry 52/1 Sigma competency assessment of Proctor Anthar, based on his performance during the mission. You hear a painful metallic creak as Solomorn's augmented hand clenches into him fist. Competency assessment? Very well, Prefect. I'm listening. What gives you the right to evaluate him? So as to avoid misunderstanding, allow me to clarify that I am not making any judgment, but rather gathering information at Marshal Strock's request. Proctor Anthar, you will be evaluating your own conduct in this instance. For my part, I will merely state a few key points. Let us begin. How would you describe your performance, taking into account the following facts? You took part in the execution of an administratum appointee without its appropriate permission. You also allowed yourself to be captured, thus endangering your mission and imperiling the valuable equipment issued to you by the Adeptus Arbites. What is more, you sanctioned a tithe-related decision that carries adverse consequences for the Imperium. That is all. Proceed to evaluate yourself. His heavy gaze is fixed upon the Prefect as he slowly forces the first words out of his jaw, as if they've been turned to stone. I took every effort and was acting solely in the name of the Lex Imperialis. However, the outcome of the mission speaks for itself. My verdict is thus that my performance in the Thessera case was inadequate. Noted and recorded. Now that the Thessera inspection report has been properly entered into the records, allow me on behalf of the Adeptus Administratum to officially extend our gratitude to you for your support you provided to us. May the Von Valencia's name be forever praised, and may the Emperor protect your dynasty for many generations to come. That said, I must now request your assistance in a different capacity. A number of highly important court cases have accumulated at the Palace of Justice, a kind that require the formal resolution of the rogue trader. You shouldn't have taken all the blame like that. He whispers back. I told her the truth. I was there and I let it happen. Besides, I owe you for acting like an oaf at the celebration. What got into you back then? You were so aloof. The people around us were getting on my nerves. I'm not used to putting my affections on display for all the world to see, especially in front of people I collect tithes from, or might end up bringing to justice. In that moment, being human and not a living statue was like going into battle without armor. Everything inside me twisted into a knot, screaming I was doing it all wrong. You still shouldn't have said anything. My apology accepted. Let's not dwell on it. Of course, he smiles with only his eyes. Oh no, they flirted. Oh no, that was so cute. No, my heart! The Prefect clears her throat in baldy, obnoxious fashion. Rogue Trader, are you and Proctor quite done discussing your undoubtedly pressing concerns? If you are, let us return to the matter of court proceedings. You're biased against Solomon. To which part of my assessment would you impute bias? Everything in it is based solely on the fact that Proctor Anthar himself presented the conclusion. Regardless, the final judgment will be passed by Marshal Strax. It's the Administratum's responsibility. Handle it yourself. Countless cases do indeed pass through the Administratum, but a very minute number of them are beyond our power to process, as stipulated by our centuries-long covenant with your dynasty. Any disputes that are likely to have truly grave consequences, regardless of the final decision made, are to be reviewed without exception by the rogue trader. Only your sacred authority can force the parties to accept the verdict and not rise up in response. We have already delayed the proceedings for as long as we could, but now we are obligated to pass these cases over to you. This order of things was established by previous rogue traders, not the Administratum. I assure you that in your participation in the court of law is not only a homage to an ancient tradition, but an urgent necessity. The defendants will speak first, whereupon you can ask me to clarify questions on the case, and then a death sentence must be passed. You are, of course, free to judge otherwise, but an execution is preferable, since in every case that will come before you, an outcome without highly unpleasant consequences is unlikely. Executions reduce the number of malcontents and motivate prospective defendants to solve their problems before they come under the purview of the rogue trader's court. I hope we can get this over with quickly, as important as these cases are. Maybe my personal business is even more so. I have relegated my current task in advance, and thus I'm ready to escort you. Please follow me. Oh no, we're going right away? Oh no, Solomon. I wasn't ready. I thought I was just handing in a report. I thought that was it. Tess. Okay. Well, this is... This is something. You are greeted by an impeccably dressed man with a perfectly straight back. An Arbidi scale emblem is embroidered on his clothes. Glory to House von Valencius. We're honored to welcome you to the Palace of Justice. Do you wish to proceed with the session at once, or will you grace me with questions I might humbly answer? Let's begin. Oh, she got a throne. Interesting that, like, they don't give you the chance to, I wonder if there was a autosave here. I'm actually curious. There was. Okay, so we are now at the palace. Okay, I was like, interesting that they didn't let you, like, walk away kind of thing. But I guess Glado and Pascal are hanging out. That's adorable. All right. Now it's time to what? Oh, God, he's floating. Judge people. I'm actually kind of afraid but excited all at the same time. All right, I accidentally hit continue before I meant to, so we're gonna read this together, then we'll go down to the next part. But in Scribia, Walter's dreary Vox amplified voice carries across the hall. The court will now hear case DP-1453/2, the doleful host against the Astropathic Choir of Dargonus. Representatives for the parties will present their arguments following standard procedure. A woman with lines of scripture all over her skin folds her arms into an aquila. My name is Sister Juth, and I represent the doleful host. O God, Emperor's anointed one, we came upon a group of heretics whose minds brimmed with the most shameless thoughts. We captured them and tortured them as befits their transgressions. From what we were able to discern from their wailing and screaming, the head of the Astropathic Choir is plotting to betray House von Valencius. No one is a liar when flame is caressing their flesh. The doleful host surrounded the choir building and demanded that the heretic be handed over. It was solely out of respect for the anointed one that we refrained from burning down the wayward heretic's den on the spot. However, say but the word and we shall take him, that he may undergo a righteous cleansing. The arguments are acknowledged and shall be weighed on the scales of justice. The representative will retreat to the chapel of patience to await the verdict. The gaunt man dressed in Astropath's robes is standing tall, but his voice trembles with fury. I am Master Angelio. I represent the Dargonus Astropathic Choir. These insidious and ignorant people are passing off their victims' ravings as truth. Your ladyship, people will say anything under torture just to make the agony stop. We have served House von Valencius faithfully for decades. Master Prost, the longest of all. Please order them to stand down. The master of the court repeats the same monotonous formula, bidding the other representative to leave the courtroom. Why are they putting things on scales? The scales of justice are a sacred relic installed as a testament to the alliance between the von Valencius dynasty on one side and the Adeptus Arbites and the Administratum on the other. Legends say ancient machine spirits dwell within the relics. Or the relic. The scales of justice are only used on extraordinary occasions when the intervention from the rogue trader is necessary. Ceremony dictates that items symbolizing the party's arguments be placed on the scales. Once the verdict is announced, the machine spirit weighs the decision made and show their affirmation or rejection through the position of the scales. However, there has never been an occurrence where the rogue trader and the spirits of the scales were divided on the verdict. It is highly unlikely that such an artifact actually exists. Judging by the design of the device, it is nothing more than a set of regular, albeit enormous and masterfully crafted weight scales devoid of machine spirits of any kind. Someone must be secretly manipulating the plates in order to add greater profoundness to the rogue trader's verdict. Vigdis, I need you! Ask our ship's choir master whether Master Prass of Dargonus has been known to engage in any compromising behavior. At once, Lord Captain. The Palace of Justice falls silent for several minutes until Vigdis's voice returns. Choir Master Wise has known the Master Prass for quite a long time. He has made a very measured statement to the effect that for some time now, the mental image conveyed by Prass have taken on a shade of profound anxiety, become more aloof and detached. Overall, Zachary Wise attributes this to Prass's horrific experience during the warp storm, but he is less than completely sure, as there is still something that sets Dargonis' choir master's message apart from those of his fellow survivors. Retinue. Lord Captain, without a choir master, the powers of Dargonis' astropaths would be significantly diminished. Unless a worthy replacement is found for Master Prass, he cannot be executed. The Seneschal frowns. There's a Corda world that owes us an old debt, which can be repaid with a seasoned astropath. We can make the request, although it will leave the planet in question with barely any means of communication. Both parties have shown disrespect to the Imperium's authority. The doleful host is engaging in mob justice, and the defendant not even deign to stand trial in person. Sentence them both to death. That would be the optimal outcome. Solomon, is it not excessive to execute both parties? No. Such a verdict will remind your subjects that only the rogue trader has the right to administer justice. Besides, if you take the host side, it will inspire new self-proclaimed executioners. If you absolve the astropaths and he turns out to have been guilty after all, other heretics will feel safe to act with impunity. That is why I advise you to be stern. The Lex is on your side. Give me details about the parties to this conflict. I want to see who among them is trustworthy. As the prefect leans towards you, you get a whiff of ink and candle wax. The doleful host is a respected cult of the God Emperor. The Adeptus Ministorum has deemed them to be paragons of virtue who combat every manner of heresies and has enlisted their aid in various conflicts. Naturally, the ecclesiarchy stops short of counting them among its warriors, but it uses them in very similar ways. The astropathic choir hardly needs an introduction. They are some of the most valuable servants of the Imperium, without whom any and all communication between your worlds would collapse. The Dargonis choir took horrific casualties in the recent major warp storm. Master Prass made an enormous effort to at least partially restore communication. While we may not have proof of his innocence, Prass's dedication to his duty is beyond doubt. The old woman locks her shriveled fingers together. As you can see, it's an intricate situation. You recall a crucial nuance that has, on numerous occasions, protected the nobility. Oh, is this because we're noble? From zealots looking to dispense arbitrary justice. The ecclesiarchy is forbidden from outfitting its own army. It should be easy to declare the host to be in violation of this covenant and, as a pretty bonus, seize all of their properties afterwards. Solely as a lesson in humility, of course. Oh. Tess. Oh no, I wish I could save. I think that's what we're doing. I love that. I'd like to hear out the parties. I'm afraid they've already said what they... Okay, so there's nothing. All right, I'm ready to pass my judgment. Is this... As you wish. So is this the, No, where's the one for the ecclesiarchy? In order to be executed, execute Prass Abelard. Let Corda world give their choir master to Dargonis. I agree with Solomon. Let us see Sister Juth prove her faith. She may execute Prass if she acknowledges that the host is a minor army of the ecclesiarchy. For indeed, it is in one essence. If the sister agrees, then upon Prass's execution, the doleful host will be sentenced to exile and expropriation, lest they be tempted to take up arms again. So she can execute Prass if she acknowledges that the host is the minor army of the ecclesiarchy. For indeed, it is one in essence. If the sister agrees, upon Prass's execution, the doleful host will be sentenced to exile. Because they can't. There it is. Off we go. So what happened? Spoken like a true heir to Lady Theodora, who could squeeze out gold out of a rock, Sister Juth would never recant her statement. She will have no choice but to accept your conditions. I think I like that outcome the best. Prefect proceeds matter of factly to the next scroll. The court will now hear petition CR-1547/33 restated. Petitioner is Cardinal Invilis. Your arguments, please, Cardinal. A gaunt man raises his bloodshot eyes at you. For a moment, all sounds cease, even the scratching of the countless servo skull quills. That man's gaze is full of pain, so strong and undiluted that your breath seizes in your throat. I am impure. O Emperor's anointed one, I am beset by impure thoughts. But no one believes my confessions. I have been giving away the treasures I possesses only for people to bring me more. Worse still is the knowledge that I am leading people astray. They look at me and believe a state of perfect grace is attainable, while I am very tired. The Cardinal blinks away a tear and continues. But most terrible of all is that my brethren, the preachers of the Koronus Expanse, see me as a holy man. Their delusion has been so persistent that they sent a petition to Holy Terra asking that I be made a saint. That was when I became firm in my decision to submit to torture in front of my congregation, thus reminding them that no holiness exists unless bestowed as a gift by the God Emperor. Even clerics of my rank can and must repent, thus becoming more pure every day. Please allow me to undergo mortal torture in his name in front of my parishioners. Am I hearing correctly? Is the Cardinal asking to be tortured to death for his wickedness? That is correct. In addition, he insists on your subjects bearing witness to it, as a lesson to them, so to speak. To refuse a cardinal is impious in itself, but to execute one who is a saint in all but name, you realize that the cardinal himself is somehow to blame for what happened, but your conjectures are stubbornly failing to crystallize into clear and compelling retinue? Situation analysis complete. Let the paradox cease. Let functionality triumph. Suggestion. Use the unit Cardinal's organic remains to construct a servo skull herald and place it in an automated chapel. The statues of sainthood will be extended to the liturgical mechanism. The bloodspun Wem is knowledgeable in ways to torment one's flesh without going to the undying one before due time. Damen, allow us to help the Cardinal attain enlightenment and experience the purity of a near-death state. Undergoing our rite should make him realize it's not his gift to sever his own thread. According to the Lex Imperialis, a candidate saint may personally challenge their sainting by petitioning the ecclesiarch on Holy Terra. Sidestepping the head of the Imperial cult is a violation of the Emperor's laws. Since astropathic communication with the rest of the Imperium has been disrupted, I propose to put Cardinal on a ship that crosses the Maw so he can submit his request with every formality observed, but the Maw's closed. That does nothing to diminish the stipulations of the Lex Imperialis. Besides, following the letter of the law absolves you of the necessity of tainting your hands with the blood of a potential saint. Either the Cardinal will cross the Maw, thus proving his sainthood, or he will perish if the Emperor wills it. As you can see, the Lex has all the answers. I see the depths grant him the right to embrace death as he is chosen. Cabela has made a good suggestion. The Cardinal shall undergo a sacred torture in the established fashion of the bloodspun Wem. I expect he will reconsider his views on death in the process. What is that? Okay. Wait, what? Oh, okay. You heard Pascal. The Cardinal shall die an honorable death, continue to serve the faith as part of the sacred machine. I will put my trust in Solomorn's advice. If the Cardinal wants to challenge his proposed sainthood, he should go to Terra. So horrible on a fate, whom the Ecclesia deemed a holy man, and dark hours such as these we need. So quick question. You had said... In addition, he insists... No. To refuse a Cardinal... Okay, but to execute one who is all but a saint in name... I like Solomorn's advice here. I do. I really and truly do, because this washes Tess's hands of everything. She does not have to put her subjects through that. He does not get his way, but he does, or he doesn't. I mean, it just depends on if the God Emperor wills it. You know what I mean? I think that this is a good one. It will doubtless be the Cardinal's most passionate adherents who follow him on that perilous journey, wishing to see him sainted. I suppose that would minimize the potential unrest that ecstatically fervent believers are prone to. Who's next? The rogue traitor has made her will clear. Cardinal, you will leave the Palace of Justice and accept his fate. Let us move on to the last case for today. The court will now hear case DP-1646/7, Lady Moles Secundus against the late Lord Moles. Lord Moles being deceased, it will be represented by his progeny, Agartha and Sigilus Moles. Representatives for the party will present their arguments following standard procedure. Your ladyship, I am Lady Moles Secundus. Only 8 cycles ago, a man broke into my house posing as my husband, the late lord. Contrary to what I know, he denies that he was killed by pirates. Instead, he purportedly survived, thanks to the God Emperor's providence. However, I hold here his death certificate, issued by the Administratum, which clearly states my husband passed away. I demand this fraud be executed. The woman belligerently waves around a scroll on which the words "declared dead" are clearly visible. The arguments are acknowledged and shall be weighed on the scales. Your ladyship, our father did survive. He really was captured by pirates who were going to demand ransom, but the Imperial Navy managed to board the ship and rescue him. After he went missing, our mother arranged for a death certificate before we received the good news. Now we are in the humiliating position of having to prove that our father is alive while our mother is living with her new husband, Lord Secundus, and has taken over our family business. We implore you to restore Lord Moles to his life and name. He is humbly awaiting your decision in the Chapel of Patience. What does the Lord have to say? The prefect plays a vox recording of one of the servo skulls. The soft voice is interspersed with static, but you're able to make out the words. I am Moles. When the pirates captured me, I thought I was doomed, but fate proved to be more gracious than that. I hurried home only to, from my own house by my servants, and learned that the lady had already had me declared dead and married Lord Secundus. She'd also taken control of everything. Agarth and Sigilus have recognized me. I'm losing my mind. What do they do? She turns on one of her countless data slates. The family manufactures nutritional rations. They supply the Astra Militarum as well as worlds that have no food production of their own. With the Lord at the helm, they cover the needs of 3 regiments and 5 worlds. Now it is 5 regiments and 12 worlds. One might say the lady has done much better than her husband did. As much as you would like to turn the situation to your advantage, you cannot think of a solution. Retinue? Heinrich rubs the bridge of his nose, looking tired. This absurdity has dragged on for too long, so be it. The Emperor is my witness. I am reluctant to revisit my early training experience in the Administratum, but I'm going to have to. Does the lady have a paper that certifies she is alive? If not, the defendant is to be deemed dead, with all that that entails. If the lady is right, then her children are the imposter accomplices and are guilty of defaming the authenticity of the Administratum's documents. Solomon has enough sang-froid in him for regiment. Let the woman know that her heirs must face the same fate as the criminal, for so stipulates the imperial law. I am tired and loathe being part of this. Prefect, rule for the Administratum's side and let's call it a day. Let's pass my verdict. All will be silent. Is to be declared alive, fully restored to his rights. I order the Lord to be declared alive. He is to be fully restored to his life and property. Found guilty. If the lady does not have certificate in question, her children will inherit her property. Case is clear by... Oh, that is their family affair. Let them handle it. No, Heinrich is right. If you don't have a certificate in question, your children will inherit your property. The prefect looks at you and then the interrogator with slight alarm. No contradictions found. I imagine the younger Moleses are going to hand the reins to the family business back to the man whom they consider their father. Your decision is also going to affect the work of the Administratum. We can certainly expect to be swamped with requests for legally alive certificates, but that will help uncover false identities and non-existent nobility. The session is now concluded. Look at that! We even helped! Yay! Are we done? Tess, did you do it? As the last attendant leaves the courtroom, the prefect turns to you with a delighted expression. Lady Theodora held court sessions like this to strengthen her subjects' faith in the Lex Imperialis and their fear of breaching it. A most useful practice, wouldn't you agree? There are no more active disputes in my domain. Come now, no. They call play, but no. It's amusing at first, but not for long. If we're finally done, I will take my leave. Of course, I dare not take up any more of your time. Tess. If we're done here, it was amusing at first. That I think is the best, like, noble response, you know? Like, it was amusing at first.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
Okay. I think that's all there is. And then this. Thank you. Okay. Cool. I think we're done. Right? Is it? How do I leave? I don't think... It's interesting that they don't usher me out. Oh, there's a cogitator up here. Let's see.
Operation successful.
Filled. Okay. All sessions storeroom. Oh, okay. Interesting. Wait, we did it. Yeah. Okay. So now, I know is there another one up here? That's the commerce one.
Not my best.
Okay. Let's return to the void ship. Off we go, Tess. Right as you walk out the door, Solomon moves close to you and says in a low voice, if that concludes our business at the Palace of Justice, I'd like to propose something if I may. It's been a long day, but I know a sure way to relieve tension. One good night together. What do you say? Oh? Oh, yeah, I look forward to our next meeting. Only his eyes are smiling. Tess? Tess, honey, what's going on? You getting some quality time with the art? Oh, I mean, girl, you know, we on a smooch run, and then we make a decision later. Girl, you have fun.